Hello again and welcome to the program. I am Suren. During last several months, many people, young and old, including myself, were either debating or asking several important questions. And today I decided to consider those questions. And the answers we came up with, well, you might find them very interesting, as I did so myself. Here it goes. If the universe is indifferent and purposeless, as our current sciences declare, and human life on Earth is not as important, what is the purpose of life we experience? Try to answer the question of what is the purpose of life, if it makes no difference in the universe whatsoever. Thomas Francisco Pelger explains, every human life on earth is very important for the soul who experiences it. The soul chose this human life. A human life is a school for the soul. Your present human life is right for your development as a soul. At least, when you learn from the experiences life is offering you. Let us ponder upon this issue for a moment, shall we? Consider for a moment that we all are immaterial and invisible beings from an immaterial dimension as soul. Remember, when we are not of the usual kind and belonging to a different dimension, we become invisible to the three-dimensional world. What would you desire to experience most, or where would you like to be at? As it had been already mentioned before, and you would like to experience a human type of material and a solid life, and that is so real, even you, as a human person, would start to think you are a human and not an invisible soul. Correct? Well, what is, or even could be, a human life like? A human life is, according to what we know of, to experience and to learn from the experiences, to create brand new experiences, and to evolve in this human life experience. Just consider. Within this material world, we discover that our focus has become only to material creations, which we cannot take with us to the other dimensions. And indeed, we may consider it as the more refined and advanced material of pure positive dimension. Therefore, as being encouraged, we should focus on our thoughts in developing them by gathering knowledge and wisdom along those experiences to take with us. Remember that our thoughts and the formulation of them and our memories as a whole becomes what our soul is made up. We cannot dismiss that human life is an important experience. To enjoy the creations in life, to enjoy the material life, the physical experience and existence to evolve in every way possible and with our own thoughts. We need the experience. The main reason for everyone's life is to learn to grow above the negativities of our own egoistic, greedy, and negative perspectives, as well as to grow above the negativity of life in general. By formulating pure positive thoughts, including those, the good and bad situations, which may prove to be good for you and good for all other people on the surface of the world, and certainly good for the whole nature. As the writer puts it, this is the only way to gain balance in yourself. Balance between all people and balance with nature. At the end of each human life, we were expected to be enlightened, to have learned so many things in life that we brought the thoughts of our awareness unto the highest frequency possible by formulating continually the pure positive thoughts. Then our soul would be one and in unity. After you pass over, who knows that you may directly go to the heaven world? The egoistic perspectives and majority of negative people in the world have been creating imbalance over many generations by now. In a sense, destroying our school of the souls. Just consider. I also believe that this imbalance will be restored by nature herself, by the interdimensional law of order and balance. If I might be considered as a dreamer at the moment, I'm okay with that also. Remembering that every life is important and has a place within the cosmos and of its own. Believe it or not, it is just a personal choice. Advice given here is loud and clear. And it is, choose well. Robert Latta, PhD in philosophy, writes, are we all just clumps of matter moving around in the universe? And what is the point of life in that case? What about a living clump of matter moving around in the universe that enjoys life in perfectly acceptable ways? Suppose that, in addition, it helps other living clumps of matter moving around in the universe to enjoy life in perfectly acceptable ways to escape pointless pain. Let us then consider it being helpful to other living clumps of matter moving around in the universe to enjoy life in perfectly acceptable ways. Isn't there plenty of meaning to its life, would you say? Of course there is. Everything is of greater value, without exception, and this being very natural and very physical. That is entirely unproblematical, and in any case, inevitable, since we live in a natural physical reality. Yes, we are indeed clumps of matter moving around within the universe, if you wish to put it that way. But not just as clumps of matter, probably regenerating the joy and the pain of life, which makes all the difference. The point of it all has just been clearly explained. And as for the feeling, which appears to be widespread indeed, and that the source of everything of objective value must float somewhere high above the gross physical nature in which the humans wallow down here, or in some transcendental realm, although it may be no more than a very naive notion, even totally mistaken. Don't forget that the value does not dangle from a divine source, nor does it rest on a human basis. Rather, it rests firmly on a physical basis, in that consciousness, in which it decides, is a natural, physical phenomenon. Now the question of what is the point of existing in this world of life if everything else is ultimately pointless? The question of existence and meaning is a profound one that has been explored by philosophers, theologians, and thinkers throughout the history. While some may argue that life is inherently pointless, others find meaning in various aspects of existence. And here are some perspectives as it was listed. Let's look at them. 1. Subjective meaning. Many believe that meaning is not inherent in life, but is something which the individuals create for themselves. And this can come from the relationships, passions, achievements, or personal growth. Finding what matters to you can provide a sense of purpose. 2. Connection and community. Human beings are social creatures, right? And relationships with family, friends, and communities can bring joy and fulfillment, even in seemingly indifferent universe. The bonds we form can give life richness and depth. 3. Experience and exploration. Life offers a myriad of experiences from the mundane to the extraordinary. For instance, engaging with the world through art, painting, sculpture, music, nature, travel, and learning can be fulfilling in itself, regardless of whatever may the larger purpose could be. 4. Contributing to something greater. Many find meaning in contributing to the cause which is usually considered being larger than themselves, whether through social justice, environmental advocacy, or helping others. This can indeed create a sense of legacy and connection to humanity. 5. Philosophical and spiritual perspectives. Various philosophical and spiritual traditions offer differing views on existence. Some propose that understanding and accepting the nature of existence can lead to peace, as well as the others who advocate for seeking enlightenment or even a deeper understanding of the universe. 6. Embracing the absurd. Existentialists like Albert Camus, who suggest that while life may be absurd and devoid of inherent meaning, one can still choose to live fully and authentically, embracing the struggle and finding joy in the act of living itself. Author further contributes, saying, ultimately, the search for meaning is a personal journey. While the universe may not provide clear answers, individuals have capacity to create their own significance and find joy in the experience of being alive. Here is an excellent question. What should you do when you feel life is pointless? Lucas Schweckendijk writes, as I see, you have only two real options. 1. You don't do anything and stay lost. Do not try to find out what is next and do not desire to test out anything. This will largely keep your life the same as it is now. 2. You try something, anything. You try your best to figure out a direction. It may not be the direction you wanted, but as long as you have something to do, you will find out at least something. If you go with the option number 1, we are done here. Do not listen to this program or read it any longer, and enjoy living the life you have chosen. If you go with option number 2, however, then there is something we must address first. It is obviously not going to do you any good to try out something random in the hopes that it will get you a goal, purpose, or meaning. You have tried that until now, and it has not helped you so far. Thus, the best thing to do at this stage is to actually sit down and think about your life. I know this can be hard to some, but it is essentially the thing that will let you the most benefit if you do it. Repeating what it was previously mentioned, I know that this question is being asked often, and even you may have considered it from time to time. What is it that you want out of life? That should, in fact, be the question in your life right now. Nothing else has figured that out. It should be important. You have the rare opportunity right now to figure this out on your own without being forced to. Something that some people do not have. The author further explains about his own younger days. He writes, when I was 22 years old, I had a moment in my life, and says he had near suicide attempt. He was so lost, depressed, and anxious about what he had done up until then, and could not bear it any longer. He says, "The only reason I'm here today is because I was too scared to go through it with it, at which point the choice was taken from me. What to do?" There was no way he could go on living the way he had, as he declared. It had led him here after all. And he no way could end his life either. And he tried that and was too scared to go through with it. Meaning, the only option left for him was to actually sit down and think about what he wanted. As we can understand that this was not easy, nor was what he figured out and what he ended up doing, but it gave him, as he wrote, at least a start. And that is exactly what he wanted to share. Something that helps one to make that start, based on his own experience that led him. Now, as he declares, this is a very complex answer and something that will most likely feel too large to answer. So, let's divide it up. Tony Robbins, who is one of the leading people in the area of self-improvement, does this vibrating up life into 7 main categories. 1. Physical body. 2. Emotions and meaning. 3. Relationships. 4. Time. 5. Finances. 6. Work and career. 7. Spirituality. What he suggests you do when you think about these areas is to rate them from 1 to 10 twice. Once for where you feel you are, the second for where you want to be. This is a method driven from psychology, self-discrepancy theory, and a discussion about real versus ideal self. When you understand where you are at and where you want to go, you can more accurately draw a path or pathway in there, much like if you are going on a road trip or a journey. If you are at either starting or end point, it will be tough to do anything about it. That being said, here are some things to think about when you consider each of these categories. He continues saying, physical body, well, how fit are you right now? And where do you want to be? Do you want to be healthy, skinny, buff, fat, muscular, big, compact, and so forth? How do you want to feel physically every day? Do you want to be feeling light and fit, or heavy and slow? Emotions and meaning. How are you generally feeling? What are your emotions like right now? And how meaningful is your life right now? Where do you want it to be? Why are those emotions important? Relationships. What are your relationships like right now? Do they fulfill you? Are you happy being around other people, or do they drain you? Are you missing some friends or a partner in your life? How do you want your relationships to benefit you? What do you want them to be like? Time. How much time do you currently have in the day? Do you have enough of it to do with everything you want, or is something missing? Are you stressed out, or do you have enough time? How would you like to spend your time? What would a perfect day look like for you? Finances. Where are your finances at? Do you have enough money? Or are you missing something? Where do you want to be financially? Why is it important to have that amount of money? Why would you do with the money if you had it already? Work and career. Is your job fun or fulfilling? Do you love going to work or do you hate it? What meaning do you gain from your work? What do you want your job to be like? How do you want to feel when you go to work and while you are at work? How do you want to impact the world? And why? Spirituality. Is your life making you grateful? Are you loving life or hating it? Do you wish you had more time to find out about yourself, your spirituality, and perhaps God? The universe or life itself, depending on what you believe in. Where do you want that part of your life to be? Answering these questions should spark your ideas, and it should give you something to work towards. At the very least, you see where you feel you are missing out on life. I discovered a beautiful question in Psychology Today magazine. Can life have meaning in a random universe? Science tells us that life is an accidental byproduct in a random universe. However, it does not remain conclusive. Despite many people's wishful attempts to draw different conclusions from science, make no mistake that science is an equivocal that both the universe and life have inherent purpose. One may have difficulty accepting this, as in both ways of thinking, because they cannot conceive how our complex world could arise spontaneously and unguided, and perhaps especially because the scientific worldview seems new to them. Purposeless universe implies a godless universe, right? But can there be purpose and meaning without a God? What do you think about it? People assume that our human sense of purpose is dependent on the universe having a purpose, and without such purpose, they assume that life has no meaning, right? This seems to be like a holiday of an unsubstantiated assumption. Our purposeless universe has become infused with local pockets of purpose. And this has happened through entirely natural, spontaneous processes. Purpose emerged in the universe with life itself. Purpose and meaning and morality. It can be entirely explained as natural phenomena emergent from a random material universe. Think about it. We are all hardwired to be purpose-driven. All living creatures are purposeful. Simple creatures are goal-attracted in rudimentary and non-conscious ways. Highly evolved creatures, like ourselves, are purpose-driven in complex, elaborate, conscious ways. In fact, all this can be evolved out of the very same basic life instinct for gene replication and does not detract from our motivation in the slightest. We have evolved to be exceedingly adept at being purpose-driven and meaning-making. Our ability to do so is in no way dependent on the universe having inherent purpose. There are very many sources of life satisfaction and meaning commonly cited by people, whether they are religious or secular, including, but not limited to, family, relationship, love, friendships, community, work, career, feelings of accomplishment, creativity, mastery of skills, overcoming problems or personal deficits, recovery from previous failures, fortitude in the face of adversity, personal growth, learning, insight, curiosity, discovery, adventure, dedication to others, service, and all manner of contributions to society, whether on a modest or grand scale. Just think about that. Like the author declares, there is endless fatness to human experience and motivation. On the other hand, many conditions can lead people to lose or even to lack purpose or meaning and to become unmotivated, depressed, or even suicidal. Many specific psychiatric or brain disorders cause loss of the appetite for life, loss of interest and pleasure, apathy, and deficits in goal-directedness. Psychological and social factors can do this too, triggering depression due to feeling unvalued or rejected by others. It is important to appreciate as well that disappointment, regret, and feeling failure are inevitable aspects of the human experience of life. Feeling failure can increase our empathy toward other human beings. Remember, we have all been there at some point. In my clinical experience, as the author writes, as a psychiatrist, an existential crisis resulting from the realization that the universe has no inherent purpose is seldom the underlying cause of depression or suicidal tendency. In fact, people are often mistaken in their attributions for why they are depressed and suicidal, as evidenced, among other things, by the frequent evaporation of existential crises on antidepressant treatment and drugs. Depression does not discriminate between religious, spiritual people who believe in purposeful universe and atheists who do not. Indeed, belief in a purposeful universe can be very hard on believers when they suffer cruel adversity, as they may feel a profound and shattering sense of cosmic injustice and abandonment by their God. Think about it. Some ask, what is the point of trying to accomplish anything if there is no larger purpose to the universe? Good question. What is the point? If we simply cease to exist after we die, the existentialist philosopher Albert Camus wrote, but one truly serious philosophical problem is, and that is suicide, judging whether the life for what it is not worth living amounts to answering the fundamental question of philosophy. Despite what he called the absurdity of life, he rejected suicide as a philosophical or personal conclusion to this problem. He argued that we must accept the contradiction between the desire for human reason and the unreasonable world. We must accept and even embrace the sense of absurdity without falsehood. However, we should not passively accept the absurd with resignation, and we should never fully accept it, as it requires constant confrontation, revolt, and engagement. In his personal life, he regarded life as valuable and worth defending, and commitment was important to him. He was also part of the French resistance against the Nazis. He regarded life as absurd, but certainly not hopeless. Most atheists feel far more positively about life than Camus did. Indeed, people who have embraced science, not only as a profession, but also as a worldview, tend to be among the most inspired and purpose-driven members of the society. However, some people are more melancholic due to temperament or circumstance, which may well have been the case with Camus. Nevertheless, his call to arms is resolute, full engagement in life's struggles. That's it. Even among those with the gloomy and most uninspired outlook on life, an otherwise mentally healthy person, possessing moderate empathy, humanity, and a little ability to transcend the egotism, can be moved to care enough to do something, anything, to mitigate suffering and increase happiness in other people. The suffering and happiness of other people is as real as our own and will continue long after we die. We might doubt whether our own existence matters, but others will continue to exist, and others after them. Just think about it. We all have the opportunity to affect others while we are alive, and how we do so will continue to matter to those others long after we are gone. As many people have discovered, when you live your life with commitment to others, a lot of really good things will happen to you. Your own life becomes much more satisfying, much more enriched, and meaningful. There are a few ways to feel that your own life matters more than being committed to other people. Know also that people will generally reciprocate your caring and devotion. One other question creeps up. Are we perhaps here to experience life as we know it and provide a purpose for a purposeless universe and a reason for additional creations of existences? I will leave this question to you to ponder upon for the moment. Professor Emeritus of Astronomy, Irwin Gingerich at Harvard University declares, "Frankly, I am psychologically incapable of believing that the universe is meaningless. The assumption that there must be some sort of higher purpose to life and universe fits with an intuitive human tendency to think that everything happens for a reason. This intuition derives from our being intentional agents. We usually have reasons for the things we do, and we assume that others do too. We are exclusively adept at perceiving agency and intention in other living creatures. We evolved this way to detect predators and prey and to cooperate with other humans. We infer intention so adeptly that we have a habit of over-attributing agency, all-purpose, even to inanimate objects and random natural occurrences. Our intentional stance leads us to believe that the universe itself has a purpose, inferring it to be the product of a deliberate, creative, designing agent. An agent just like us, only immensely more powerful. This also fits with our natural tendency as social animals to defer to higher authorities like parents and leaders and to seek direction for how we should live our lives. Our human sense of purpose is not dependent on the universe having a purpose. The universe is highly unlikely to have purpose, but humans have evolved to be highly purpose-driven. Our human sense of purpose is neither driven from nor dependent on the universe having a purpose. Once we get over our childlike wish to be told what the purpose and meaning of life is, we see that meaning is something that we make. It is not made for us. There are many meanings of life that we make for ourselves, and we discovered that we have evolved the capacity to do so very proficiently, despite the universe being, fundamentally random. We accept that responsibility to define purpose, meaning, and morality is all ours. It is not handed down to us from high above. Carl Sagan said it best, reflecting on the significance of a photograph of planet Earth taken on February 14th, 1990 by the Voyager 1 space probe from about 6 billion kilometers away. Our planet appeared in the photograph as a tiny, distant, pale blue pixel against reflected band of sunlight. The picture famously became known as the pale blue dot. He said, "Look again at that dot. That is here. That is home. That is us. On it, everyone you love, everyone you know, everyone you ever heard of, every human being who ever was, lived out their lives. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe, are challenged by this point of pale light. There is perhaps no better demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. To me, it underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly with one another and to preserve and cherish the pale blue dot, the only home we have ever known. And so we come to the end of this episode. We will meet you again by the next one. Until then, keep smiling and be very happy. Thank you.